All right, a lot of swimmers and other athletes, as we know, especially overhead athletes, will be doing dips specifically, or especially swimmers, on either the pool or on the bleachers during practice. A lot of people use this bench dip as a way to increase tricep strength, with the idea that we have weak triceps, especially at our catch, we need to strengthen this in a specific manner. Unfortunately, the bench dip puts a lot of anterior stress on the front of the shoulder, which can potentially stretch out the capsule, creating more instability in the shoulder joint, and it's also putting yourself at a mechanical disadvantage as the head or the acromion shifts down, putting more rubbing on the rotator cuff, potentially increasing the risk of impingement syndrome. Okay, last but not least, it also puts the infraspinatus, a rotator cuff muscle that wraps around the shoulder, at a mechanical disadvantage position, not allowing it to stabilize that shoulder joint in the back, once again leading that head of the humerus to keep jamming forward. Okay, if we think of, here's our humerus, or our upper arm here, and then here is our, just where our shoulder lies, right on the shoulder blade. If we're getting all this anterior stress here, that's going to keep beating up the capsule, which is just a fibrocartilage in the front of the shoulder, leading to more instability in the joint. More instability means this humerus keeps moving around, bumping into things it's not supposed to, potentially causing pain and injury. Okay, so once again, a lot of kids, a lot of swimmers will be doing dips here, bench dips. And when they're doing this, the good way they'll do it is they'll have their shoulders back, they'll even have their hands rotate out, and they're coming down and up. Okay? But as you see, this still puts a lot of stress on the front of my shoulder, popping forward. That can cause a lot of damage in that shoulder joint. Okay, another issue you see is swimmers is just really cranking here. The little kids that don't have that muscular strength or that motor control yet, what they're doing is really putting a lot of stress over and over. And at a young age, that's just going to repeatedly put more stress on the joint, potentially put them at risk for injury at that time, or even later on in their career. So there are other ways to strengthen the triceps. If you start to noticing that an athlete has a poor catcher, it just doesn't have the strength to finish their catch, okay? Or if we're looking at other overhead athletes, water polo players, baseball players, okay, once again, we don't want to put too much stress on that shoulder. Okay, they're gonna improve their range of motion if they're doing this sport during their years of maturation. So doing all this stretching, doing all this stuff to try and increase range of motion really isn't necessary. What we want to do is help stabilize and strengthen in safe positions. So one exercise that we commonly use here is just the band, or the shoulder extension with band. So you just have any band here. I suggest holding on to the handles of the band and having a little tension in the band while it's at your thigh. Okay, I don't want it all the way up here. I don't want to be so loose they can pull back for days. And what the swimmer or the athlete's going to be doing is having their shoulder blades back, keep their elbows straight, and pull back as far as they can without letting their shoulder lift or rotate. We're just pulling back, driving that arm back. Okay, and Chris, why don't you get a view from over here. When you're doing this, it's not just pulling that arm back. We're also trying to activate our scapular stabilizer muscles in between our shoulder blades. So as we're coming back, we're getting a 2-for-1 here. We're working the triceps, but we're also having that shoulder move down and back into retraction. And you're also getting a little posterior tilt of that shoulder blade, really creating more stability in that joint. Okay, when you're doing this, go nice and controlled, really pulling back. The athlete should really feel it in the tricep, but cue them. Drive that shoulder blade back. Get that shoulder blade stability. Okay, the shoulder extension with band is a great way to safely strengthen the shoulder joint as long as you're doing it correctly. Okay, shoulder not elevating, body not rotating, and not just dipping down here with your core. So shoulder back, make sure they're feeling it in between the shoulder blade and the tricep, and we can quit giving them dips, putting them at risk for injury right now and in the future. This is our core video.